I tried my best. Jake done well while it lasted, but if you remember what I said in the interview with Cameron is, fighting's not just physical, it's psychological. And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you is that, Jake, what's going to happen? I'm going to see a time when I'm going to take your soul and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter. So I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw tonight, Jake has spirit. He has some heart. He tried his best. And I take my hat off to him because, number one, a lot of fighters haven't got in the ring with me, and Jake did. And secondly, even when he got knocked down, he kept on trying to get up. And I take my hat off to him. So, America, I think you have someone who could potentially, if he still has the heart for it, come back again, dust the dirt off his shoulder, and come again and maybe sell out this center sometime in 2026. Maybe against a Gervonta Davis, a Ryan Garcia. Who knows?
Eddie, I want to follow with you because when this fight was first announced, you had said something to the effect of this would end Jake Paul's career. After what you saw tonight, do you think that Jake should continue to box, or what do you think the future holds for him?
Yeah, I really take my hat off. I mean, we have to see if it is a broken jaw. Those injuries are very difficult to come back from. But as AJ said, like that last shot would have knocked out a lot of heavyweights. And I know he went down heavy, but you know he was conscious on the floor. And I thought his game plan, although obviously very negative early on, which it had to be, was smart at times. And there were times where he held his feet and let his hands go. You know, it was a very one-sided fight. It was always going to be a one-sided fight. But you can't give him anything but credit and respect. There's a lot of negative people out there. There's a lot of people who want to criticise people. They're not doing what Jake Paul's done. He just went in with Anthony Joshua and gave it his best shot. Took a lot of punishment and ended the fight eventually on his feet after the stoppage. So, you know, I think he'll have to see physically how that jaw, I don't know the severity of it. It's a very difficult injury to come back from. But he showed he's got ability, and that's what we said. You know, he's dedicated to the game.
He has got ability. He done well.
Last one, AJ. Before this fight, we talked, and you said, I'm not thinking about 2026 until after this fight. Now, what is the plan? Because there was talk about Turki Al-Sheikh saying that you would take an interim fight before you would fight Tyson Fury. Can you guys kind of illuminate what the plan is entering next year?
So, the best promoter in the world has been speaking with Turkey, His Excellency, Riyadh Season, and now he's going to relay those messages and speak to my training team, the Right to Fight team. They're going to have conversations. They're going to speak to my manager, and everyone's going to kind of see where I'm at. My training team know my body really well. They know what I've been through over the X amount of weeks I've been with them. So it's up to them to make a decision. They're going to speak with Eddie, and then hopefully in a week or so, I'll have some news. I'm a strong guy. I want to push on, but the coaches, it's really up to them. They're the ones that guide me. Fighters will always fight. Coaches are there to guide us.
AJ's Kevin Garcia, a.k.a. the Puerto Rican Kid KG, and I just wanted to get your assessment. You know, you've now been in the ring with Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou. What do you think about them comparatively when you assess what they were like up against you?
Both good. Both have heart. It takes a lot. That ring walk, obviously 1,000 fighters have done it before me, but it's imagine sleeping the night before a big fight, and then you wake up in the morning and you're waiting for that moment when it's time to leave. You get to the change room, you make that walk. I take my hat off to Francis Ngannou because he's ultimately an MMA fighter, and he crossed over into boxing twice. He beat up Tyson Fury and then had a short fight with me, but he walked in that ring twice. Credit to him. Then Jake Paul, who has been boxing now for 5 or so years at an elite level, the amount of pressure that's been put on his shoulders, and he's lived up to that pressure. I'm not going to say that they're world class, because in our modern day era, there's maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 Anthony Joshuas that can punch, that can avoid punches, that know what they're doing in the ring. So Jake will struggle at top level, but he has a place in boxing if he wants to stay, in my opinion. So credit to him and his team for getting him this far.
Thank you. And just one other question for you, Anthony. Can you talk a little bit about, was it frustration or what was going through your mind when, some of the clinching was happening? You had hit him a few times you let him go a few times, but then there was a time on the break where you gave him a few good body shots. What was happening in the ring?
So 2 things were happening in my mind in the clinches. In the clinch, he done really well. When you're in survival mode, you will always find a way. So I was trying to look for certain shots. I actually wanted to let my hands go in the clinch, but he done well to tie my hands up. And as you can see, when they were free, I tried to land a few body shots. And I tried when I could. It was a bit messy, but from a systematical breakdown, the right hand landed, it found its home, and the referee waved it off after. Did he get counted out, or did the ref wave it off?
I believe he got counted out.
So the right hand found its home.
Out, yeah.
I would have loved to have landed some more body shots, but it weren't for tonight, maybe in the future, but we got the job done in the end anyway.
Congrats on the win, AJ.
Thank you, mate.
Jackford from The Sun. A question for you, Eddie. There's actually been some rumours around the circuit this week that there's a fight for AJ in February next year against the kickboxing champion, Rico Van Hoven. Is there any legs to that?
No, we've been talking about a possible fight with Turk El Sheikh. Couple of opponents mentioned. The biggest challenge now, as AJ said, it's 8 weeks tonight. He had a very tough camp, 8 or 9 weeks with a new team who gave him a good working over. So we will sit down with that team and talk about when he will be ready to return. So in an ideal world, that would be the time. But we're going to see when he's ready. Rico, whoever it is, we haven't finalised that yet. But the date really is what we're going to work on over the next 4, 5, 6 days, because we're not going to rush him back if he's not quite ready. But it won't be long. And the plan is to fight in the spring and then obviously fight Tyson Fury.